Hey y'all. Welcome back to the most inconsistent channel on YouTube. Mine. I don't mean to be. I promise to get better about this. I feel like I've been promising that for a while, but I still intend to keep that promise, y'all. But let's get into it. So y'all want to hear a story? Today's story is the story of Devil's Den, Arkansas. Not to be confused with Devil's Den in Missouri. I have this handy map here. I wish it wasn't so shiny in the light, but you know, Devil's Den, Arkansas, about right here. Devil's Den, Missouri, up this way. They kind of share a general vicinity, but they're not the same place. Devil's Den, Arkansas is a 2,500-acre state park. It was created October 13th of 1933, and that was a Friday the 13th, by the way. The state park has over 60 plus miles of hiking trails, and it has some pretty cool features, like the Butterfield Hiking Trail, a road once frequented by outlaws and Confederate soldiers. There's a dam built of native stone called Devil's Lake. And there is Yellow Rock Overlook. Very gorgeous, very scenic. People love to take pictures up here. But the real claim to fame here is all of its crevice caves. Devil's Den contains the largest sandstone crevice cave area in the United States, and there are over 60 of them. The longest being Devil's Den Cave, which was formed by a hillside collapse thousands of years ago, likely when the New Madrid went off at some point. I'm not sure exactly how it got the name Devil's Den. Some say because of the outlaws that hid there, making it a very dangerous place. But some say it's because there's a boulder somewhere in the park where the devil left a hoof print in the stone. And I tried to find where this boulder might be in the park, or even if it really exists, but I can't find it. I don't know. So if you know, you should tell me. A lot of the caves here are really neat. There's the Devil's Icebox, which is known for its cool air. There's one called Satan's Maze, a cave so tight and dangerous that you have to get a permit to go in there, which I suppose is a good idea, since in July of 2008, a 17-year-old girl got stuck. And it took 17 hours for rescuers to be able to get that girl out. I would simply pass away. There's the Moonshiners Cave, where moonshiners created alcohol during Prohibition. Devil's Den has actually been called one of the United States' most haunted state parks, which was news to me. I had no idea there was that much strange activity. But there is a history of weird disappearances and unexplainable deaths that has put it on the map as part of the very strange missing 411 phenomenon. Just to name a few here, in 2017, 28-year-old Monica Murphy of Springdale leapt to her death from Yellow Rock Overlook. It was initially reported that she had fallen, but it was later declared a suicide. But no one really understands why she did it, and there was really no warning. In that same year of August 2017, 33-year-old Rodney Letterman of Oklahoma disappeared in the park. He was hiking with his friend along the Butterfield Trail. When his friend ran back to the car to get Rodney some medical supplies that he had apparently forgotten to bring with him. When his buddy returned, Rodney was nowhere to be found. Search and rescue teams looked for him on foot, with ATVs, and horses. But he was missing for nearly 2 years before a human skull and remains were discovered by a hiker. In 2019, right beside the trail, the remains were identified as Rodney, but the cause of death was never discovered, or at least disclosed to us. But the truly bizarre case here is the case of Catherine Van Alst in 1946. She and her family had come from Alabama for a camping trip when 8-year-old Catherine just vanished. She and her brothers had been playing in a creek, and their dad was fishing right there, when her brothers looked around and realized that Catherine was gone. And when she went missing, she was barefoot and wearing only a swimsuit. Her family searched frantically for her, but nobody could find her. So a large-scale search was mounted, and searchers combed the park for that little girl for 6 days, with no success, until a group of volunteers happened to pass by a cave that had already been thoroughly searched. They were calling out her name, "Catherine, Catherine," when the little girl appeared from that cave and just casually waved and said, "Here I am." The rescuers described her as eerily calm, seeming almost dazed. And to make it even stranger, she was found 7 miles away and 600 feet higher from the place she disappeared from. How she managed to make her way there, barefoot, over very steep, treacherous terrain is completely unknown. It made no sense, and neither did her appearance, because she had some swelling in her feet and various bug bites all over her. But otherwise, she was in remarkably good health, especially for a little girl having just spent 6 days alone in the wilderness with no food or water and wearing only a swimsuit that offered no real protection from the elements. When Catherine was later questioned, she said she couldn't remember much about those 6 days. She couldn't recall how she made it to the cave, and she had survived by eating berries and drinking from a spring that happened to be right beside the cave she was hiding in. It was also noted that this entire area was covered in poisonous berries, so how she managed to eat only the safe ones is baffling, because she had no real outdoor experience and couldn't have known the difference. And she said when she went missing, she simply couldn't find her family or their campsite, even though the creek she was playing in was right beside it, like creek campsite. And she also said that she saw search parties more than once and even called out to them, but that they didn't seem to see or hear her. Thank God that baby was found, but what happened to her? What happened to Catherine within those 6 days? Nobody knows. And that's not even the craziest story here. In June of 1977, Air Force medic Terry Lovelace and his buddy Toby decided to take a camping trip. The first night, they set up camp in a little clearing outside of the park. This clearing that looks like a razorback. Woo pig. And these men had a truly terrifying experience there. According to them, a 5-story tall triangular UFO UAP appeared over their heads, emitting a blinding blue light. It was described like someone had cut a giant triangle out of the sky. And then I guess it all went black, and then the men woke up sometime later. The UFO now hovering in the field where they were laying, and standing underneath the hovering craft were beings that resembled children. And Terry said to Toby, "What are these kids doing out here in the middle of the night?" To which Toby replied, "They aren't kids, don't you remember? They took us and hurt us." Afterwards, both men were hospitalized. They were both suffering from extreme dehydration and had burns all over their bodies. And they were interviewed by the U.S. Air Force Security Police, OSI agents, the Office of Special Investigations. But in order to protect their jobs and their reputations, they didn't tell another soul for 35 years. Though Terry suffered from regular nightmares, panic attacks, and an inexplicable fear of open spaces. He still didn't talk about it, but his silence ended in 2012 when he went to the doctor to check out his knee because he'd taken up jogging and had noticed that every time he hit the 2-mile mark, that his knee would go weirdly numb. So he got a routine x-ray, and the doctor discovered a square piece of metal about the size of a fingernail embedded in his leg. It had 2 wires attached to it, and it wasn't shrapnel. Terry had never experienced combat, and he had no prior surgeries, and there was no entrance scar for this object. Further examination of Terry also discovered a, quote, unidentifiable flower-shaped object embedded in his calf muscle, and this object resembled bone, but it wasn't bone. The entire story is absolutely wild. And Terry wrote an in-depth account of it in his book, Incident at Devil's Den, A True Story, which I haven't read yet, but I do plan to. It is on my Amazon list. And while a lot of people probably would want to dismiss this as fake, like a hoax, Terry Lovelace is considered to be a highly respected, intelligent, and credible man. He was in the Air Force and retired from a successful career as a lawyer and held various offices throughout his career. He had nothing to gain from sharing this incident, but a lot to lose. And he speaks of his experience with utter sincerity. I mean, I believe him. So is Devil's Den State Park one of the most haunted state parks in the U.S.? I don't know. I feel like everywhere thinks their place is the most haunted place, but I will say that is a weird number of incidents. The little girl really blows my mind. But yeah, have any of y'all ever been to Devil's Den, and did y'all experience anything strange there? Please tell me, because I really want to know. I don't ask that just as like a closing statement. I really want to know because I'm nosy and curious, and I love these stories. Anyways, I hope y'all enjoyed it. If you'd like to hear more stories, I hope you like and subscribe. And I'll try to not make it 6 months before I post another video. Have a great day, y'all.